I don't know, season up here, sweating profusely. Call the ambulance. It's 36 degrees out now.
Oh, dead on. Oh, yeah. Send a few over to us.
Yeah. Bit too warm for my liking.
You drinking, is there ice cubes in that tea?
No, it's an espresso. I've got a water here.
Yeah, so I love these new tools that you can basically build applications in minutes. Like I think you put me on the V0 several weeks ago, and I've been having a lot of fun spinning up
Yep.
websites, spinning up platforms, and lots of other projects. I'm blown away. Having lots of fun with the capabilities of it. But that kind of it didn't change last week, but something happened when I created. So obviously we came up with we got the idea for the wine platform, and I played about with it for a couple of hours, and asked Vercel to create a login and store the passwords and create like a user account and sent it over to you, and you were able to set up an account and log in, and then you asked me, so where's all that stored?
Yeah.
where's the pass where's the password, where's all of that, and did I even have an answer for you?
No, that's the thing.
And like that was quite eye-opening, and like, don't get me wrong, I love these tools. I absolutely love what they're able to do in terms of getting prototypes together, but we know, for when you put it in real users' hands, the kind of level that things need to be. Like even in one of our latest projects, Evermind Wealth, what was that like in terms of like the hoops, for even people to look and play with it?
Yeah, totally.
They want security, documentation where everything is, and
Yep.
like there is the platforms that allow you to do the no code building, and they're like, oh, we're secure, but if you're walking into industry, you're going to need a little bit more than that. And it just kind of opened my eyes kind of about the risks, and maybe they will be addressed soon, but it definitely kind of was eye opening, and especially from our experience of going into industries, and they're like, where is your security documentation? How's this built? How's this put together? What's the encryption? Where's everything stored? Like, break that down from your point of view in terms of when you're building something, like what, it's at the heart of everything that's done, really.
Yeah, so whenever we're building stuff like in the era before AI and even still, like I'll pick specific frameworks, databases, tools, all of that stuff because I know how they work, how they're secured, what the security kind of infrastructure is like, how to even picking where you host stuff, how to secure your servers and all that. And ahead of time, you're picking all of those things and knowing all those things. I would say that the majority of people who are doing this vibe coding don't even know what framework they're using. Now, that's not to say, like, again, like I love all these tools as well. I'm
Yeah.
using them a bunch to speed up my development workflow. But for the very intro to like vibe coding something using V0 or Lovable, you don't even know really what's behind the scenes. And as you say, like you asked it to give you a user login. What's that using? What database is it? Who knows?
Magic.
And complete, yeah. So that's the thing. I have seen a bunch of people who are like the next level of vibe coders who they'll use Lovable or something to get a UI. Then they take the stuff into Cursor, and then they have like some prompts and whatever to like tell the AI to be more security focused and find loopholes and whatever. And like that gets you to another level ahead, but still, if you're not a developer, you don't actually know. Like, yes, you ran your prompt that was supposed to secure everything for you, but did it? You know, these people aren't really aware of what it's actually doing unless you actually know and understand the code. You can't confidently say, yes, I've protected against all these types of vulnerabilities.
It's just going to be interesting because, like, I mean, you do see people saying, "Oh, I've hit these kind of crazy monthly recurring revenues and even annual through using these." But I just don't know if they're in specific industries, and obviously we're trying to, like, everything we do is now very much looking at niches, but it's kind of like older school, and security's the first thing. Like when I was talking to the wealth managers about the project we have with Evermind Wealth, security's number one because they have, well, customers' information. Like it could be the most incredible platform, but the security was the first question they were asking us. It was the first thing. It
Yeah.
wasn't about, it's like, okay, that sounds interesting, but like, where's the security behind it? Where's everything stored? Where's it even hosted? They were very interested in that. Yeah, it's quite eye opening to kind of see where this will go to and if there will be kind of attacks. And yesterday we seen the reality of not a vibe coding incident, but we had I think 6,700 signups happen on IdeaPilot within a couple of
Yep.
minutes, and like luckily I wasn't vibe coding the thing by myself. I'd have just been pulling the plug out of the wall and heading to the pub.
Yep.
Not really, like I mean, but I was like, Pete, hey, check this out, and like, well, no, what happened? Like, I mean, and then on the flip side, I suppose the fact you were there, you have the experience, you were able to, sort that out.
Yeah. So in essence, we had someone just write an automated script to do signups, and they were putting in the first name field, something about some online casino, free tokens, whatever. And I think they were ultimately using this thing to send out emails or welcome email, but with the first name going to these people with tokens and some URL to some online casino or something. It was, I think, some kind of attack to like get emails to go out to a bunch of these random Gmail accounts. Nothing actually compromised or anything like that. Like, again, as you say, like, I pick the tools to know that we're starting off with a good security standpoint, like using the latest version of Ruby on Rails, hosting things securely and secure databases and all that sort of stuff. So no user data was leaked or anything like that. We just had a bunch of random signups, nearly 7,000 in the course of about an hour. Not pleasant, especially when we have Slack alerts in our Slack channel for new user signups, and this thing was just ping, 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 like constant. Even when we actually like plugged the hole and fixed it, it was still pinging off Slack alerts for another half hour while Slack was catching up with all these
Like,
notifications. So
fantastic metrics for VCs, but you know what I mean? 7,000 signups nearly in a day. Like, I think we need to go out and raise this week by the
yep, I
close of
think
play
that's the
today.
seed round right there. So, yeah, it was interesting. Again, like, it can be easy to get annoyed and stuff at these things. Like, it is annoying and frustrating, but at the same time, like, I kind of see it as a positive when things like this happen, because your product, you've built a popular enough product that it's surfaced to those sorts of people, and they feel it's worthy to attack. So yeah, that was the thing. We solved it by implementing some rate limiting on the signups and,
Okay.
putting in a "I'm not a robot" checkbox, which generally, as we've seen with our much bigger sites that people try and hack, the "I'm not a robot" thing pretty much takes care of like 99.9% of those automated bot attacks. Yeah, it was interesting in afternoon anyway yesterday.
But like, again, the fact that you're able to jump in, you know how things are put together, you know how to solve some vulnerabilities or anything. Like, if you were sitting there with Lovable and that, had started happening, like, who are you going to call?
Yeah, exactly. You're not really going to know what to do in that position. It takes the kind of experience of having been there before, having dealt with these situations before, to know what to do. And also, because we've been through that a bunch before with other high-profile apps we've built, like, you don't panic either. You're just like, okay, I know exactly what to do here. I'll go in and do this, this, and this, and it'll be solved. And there's no panic or anything. The tools like Lovable or whatever, you're not going to know really what to do when that situation comes around. Even as a junior dev or whatever, if you've never been in this position before, you're probably not going to know what to do.
It was certainly an interesting afternoon. So it was. Going on a segue from that, it's just over 6 years now since we launched Payhere,
Wow.
which is ridiculous. And like, I think keep having kind of reminiscent of like launching a product, which we've been doing the last couple of months, to 6 years ago, and 6 years ago thinking, oh, this is really hard. Uh, but fast forward today, like if I'd have known then what the future would be like, I wouldn't have been complaining about anything.
No.
Even like the fact that people would respond to you more than the ghosting, or like it's just, I suppose it's the information overload. You were able to kind of send people messages that they wouldn't have got before, or there's just so many tools now that are kind of bombarding them. But I still think good messages do cut through. Maybe it'd be interesting for you to kind of just talk a little bit about those initial kind of the launch and us kind of getting it out there, and those sorts of things.
Yeah, totally. I can't believe it's 6 years. So yeah, going back to 2019, you and I had recently, maybe only a year prior, joined forces to do Alt Labs, our agency, where we're building products for other people. And we'd quickly learned that the agency thing, like you're just constantly trying to get bigger projects every time to try and just keep growing, growth at all costs. And it's something that doesn't scale as easily. Like you need to grow, you need to hire a big team. Then there's points, especially with the agency, where if you're at 10 people, you need to get to 30 as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you hit some choke point. And we had this product idea, and I'd done some of the code around it, and we decided, let's take this to market and get our first few customers. So Payhere, for those that don't know, is essentially a payment link product built on top of Stripe, and it allows anyone to go and connect their Stripe account, and we generate nice payment links for non-technical people. At the time, Stripe didn't have payment links or anything like that, but we'll get to that point later. So we launched Payhere. We got our first few customers locally and around the Belfast area, and we started out there. I think.
I want to just one thing that you said there brought back a flashback, is when we were in the Stripe office in London with Ignite, and you'd said about a couple of lines there, and the guy from Stripe was like, "You can integrate Stripe and 7 lines of code," and the couple of people behind us who were part of the same cohort were like, "These guys can do it too."
Yes,
The guy's like, "I'll speak to you afterwards."
that's right. Yeah, that was brilliant. I forgot all about that. So yeah, we launched our first few customers locally in Belfast kind of area and grew slowly from there. One of the things that we did very early on, which I'll get you to go into more detail about, especially as it has like quite a significant family link as well, was our product hunt launch, which with Payhere back then in 2019, we did very early on because it wasn't anywhere near as popular as it is today from a launch kind of standpoint. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I was just expecting my first, and as it happens, only child, and we we decided to do the launch around summer, similar to the when the birth would happen, um, which on reflection was a really silly thing to do. And anybody that I've ever heard, like founders or anybody, and they're like, oh, we're expecting a child, I was like, take time off, take months off, disappear, go on and enjoy it. So like, I mean, but then again, like, I mean, I was like, this is an opportunity to do something that's going to make things better for us as a family. Like that was kind of why I wasn't doing it. It wasn't like, oh, I just want to go and do this. So, there was a meaning behind it. And, but yeah, I definitely got in trouble with my wife when I stand beside the bed, like slacking you and answering comments and product comments. But, it got us some more coverage, I suppose. So it definitely got us off to the races in terms of the signups. There was, several hundred signups that first couple of days, and we had already been in the Shopify ecosystem, and we'd been over to Shopify. Is it Shopify Unite? Was that what it was called in Berlin,
Yeah.
or Pursuit? Shopify Pursuit. Made a lot of connections there, and I'd messaged, and you'd messaged every single person we'd ever talked to in the world, and everybody was able to go on support. And it was kind of like we've done a few since, and it hasn't just been like that. But we really like went for it that then. It certainly gave us that bump, and like we got PR off the back of it, and definitely it got us into the first couple of gears.
Yeah. And what did we come? Second of the day or something?
I think it might have been third, but we got into the product of the week, which the newsletter.
Yeah.
So we did. There was a daily newsletter. We got into the newsletter, and then we got into the weekly recap, which was pretty good. So yeah.
And that also got us our first connections as well in the VC world. That got us like Sequoia from California were reaching out to us and stuff off the back of that. It's just funny how many products are launching today. Like that stuff just doesn't happen anywhere near as frequently anymore.
Yeah, because like I get newsletters through and I scan it quickly, but it just doesn't seem to have the same impact as just the sheer amount of them. I remember talking to a couple of VCs and they kind of said, Product Hunt was not deal flow for them, but they certainly kept an eye on interesting companies. Might still be the case, but I think the number that's launching today was very different from when we were doing it. I was through Chris McClelland's, like it was Chris, like you got to do a Product Hunt launch, and I'm like, what's a Product Hunt launch? He's like, oh, it's been going for years, like, and even back then, he's like, oh, it's been out for several years. You might not just get as much exposure, but to think 6 years later, it's still there. Like I still get the emails through each day and have a look at it. It is still there, and people are using it to launch products, but. Yeah, it was Chris that's like, yeah, get it on next week, and we're like, right, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, no, well, it's definitely the most successful thing. I think we launched, and getting hundreds of signups from the product launch was something I'd never experienced before. It was definitely got us off to the races, as you say. Got us our first bunch of revenue as well from the product, because I think in the following weeks from that product hunt launch, or following at least maybe only a month or two, we were already doing like 1K MRR from those people. Like it was pretty quick getting it off to the races like that. Then cut to that was 2019, then cut to 2020. It was maybe late 2019. We were in San Francisco with Chris, meeting agency owners and stuff out there.
Yeah, so we were really fortunate to be on Ignite, and Chris was the MD of it, and Ian Brown was the EIR. It was such a great cohort. People that we all still talk to. Dr. Phil from Medall, I was with him a couple of weeks ago. Michael from Equitas. There's so many. It was a really good cohort, and like it changed our thinking, because at that time we had the agency, we had an office out in Mollusk, and we were working away on projects, and we're like, I think I'd seen Ignite. I think my dad seen it in the Belfast Telegraph. It's like, is this something that you could enter? I mean, that's where it came from. So it shows you how long ago, like adverts in the Belfast Telegraph. But and we obviously, like, we were able to get, there's trips and stuff, but we sat in the office every week where Ian Brown and Chris McClelland told us to close down the agency.
Yep.
Every single week, close down the agency. Products where it's at, it's scalable. It's not and I think that's kind of like, we obviously in the last couple of days have said about Evermind AI, and like there's a bit of that is a bit of agency, but it's more of a product studio. So it's like, we will do some projects, but it's more like there has to be a bigger reason why we're doing it, or why we're partnering with someone or co-creating something. It's not just like the Ferris wheel where we're going to go out and then hire another 5 devs and grow it, that way. So it's a different kind of thinking. But as you say, yeah, we went to San Francisco and we got in with a couple of really cool agencies, like people we would have admired, and like they had Sonos, they had Google as clients, and we talked to them about what we had to pay here and said about the revenues, even though we're still quite low at that time. And I remember a couple of them just saying, go all in.
Yep.
Like, he's like, you might think this agency's great. I remember one guy taking us in, and there's these big, the big massive Apple computers, and we're like, wow, the whole room full of them, and they had a rooftop that was overlooking like San Francisco and stuff. And he's like, I have to pay $1 million a month for my wages, and But back then, like, that was what, 5 years ago. Is like,
Mhm.
I'm on a bigger Ferris wheel, but I have 10 times as many problems as you have your agency. I have to hire people. It's yes, we might be doing these big revenues and bringing these big projects on, but if somebody offered me a SaaS product that I could go out and grow, I would jump on it. I think that was kind of that changed a lot of our thinking. Like obviously the persistence from Ian and Chris about shut it down this product, but when you go and like what you would want an agency to turn into, and the founders of it are telling you to go on in product, you're like, right, okay, there might be right here.
Yeah, because initially we were going to San Francisco to
Get
actually
work.
try and get more business from these people for our agency, and they basically all told us like, no, don't, like, just don't shut it down, go on the product. And
Yep.
that was during us being on the Ignite Propel Accelerator, which was the first level.
Yep.
Then we applied and we got onto the whatever, the more advanced accelerator, Ignite Accelerator or something. I don't know what it was called. And that was just coming around and it was about to start. And we came in on the first day, which I remember because the first day was March. It was like March 1st, 2020. We came in on the first day. I made all this news of stuff going on in China, this coronavirus. It's starting to get people in cases traveling, starting to get cases in Northern Ireland. And then day two of this accelerator, they're like, right, everyone home. Like, just go home. We'll do it remote. And to me, it kind of ruined the experience of the accelerator a little. But at the same time, we had also just taken a decision around the exact same time. We're going all in on Payhere, and we shut down the agency right as COVID strikes. But at the same time, like, that's kind of cool that we went all in just as the world was dramatically changing.
Yeah, and like I mean, it helped our growth with the online shift, obviously. And I think if we'd been relying on the agency, from knowing some other agency owners, there was a lot of projects were put on hold very quickly. But the same agency owners are still here with bigger, better agencies, so they did, and we would have got through it as well. But the shift was definitely couldn't have timed it better.
Yeah,
And like we it was a very different accelerator. Obviously, it wasn't the way that it was ever planned to be. But like I know Chris like worked his ass off to get us on founder calls with people, and remember doing Mentor Madness. Remember we did it, and it was like a full day long, sitting in my hallway of the house with the makeshift desk, and it was like we must have talked to like 40 people in the morning and after. Well, no, it would have been the afternoon because it was all like founders and VCs. The morning was European, and then the afternoon was, West Coast US. And like we were talking to, there's a founder of DreamHost and all, wasn't there? On like, I mean, there was
yeah,
some.
big, big people, hundreds of millions in funds and stuff like that. I do remember that. That was a crazy afternoon. I think I remember halfway through all the pitches or whatever, making myself a wee short vodka and drinking it just to keep it going because it was just call after call after call. It's insane.
Well, I think like the Mentor Madness is maybe not just the same now, but like intensity. But why? Yeah, we certainly that was useful, and like yeah, Chris had rinsed his black book to get that sorted out.
Yeah.
And you know, apart from that period, then I kind of remember just being me and you just working away. Um, it's not slogging away, but just working away and trying different campaigns. I remember being like, let's go, who's dealing in cash now, like lawn services in the US, and joining Facebook groups in Georgia specifically for lawn care owners, and going down, remember the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
like going to Georgia, um, down into Florida, and just messaging them, being like, "Hey, you deal with cash? Here's a way. Here's a system." Like, I mean, honestly, I don't think there was much growth from it, but at the same time, it's like we were testing and trying. What like there has been kind of standout cohorts of customers within Payhere. Like, I mean, and we still to this day we'll talk about the fact that we have it again, and what happened to it afterwards. But like, who's really been the main users in terms of customer segments?
It's been broad, like that's definitely, it's been hard to identify key users, but there's definitely been some, especially around online content, people selling courses. There's been all different types of courses as well. There's been people selling like online courses. There was the girl from Dublin doing the eyelash courses or something like that, wasn't there? Like beauty courses,
Yeah.
all those sorts of things. We've had clubs, sports clubs collecting their donations, collecting their yearly fund. We've had charities doing donations. We've had, I don't know off the top of my head now.
For me, the big kind of standout one, because like I remember initially we were kind of framing it's like it's for non-technical individuals really to get. Stripe wasn't what it is today. They've gone a long way to make it more accessible. Like, we were always like, pay, here's the interface on top to let you unlock what a developer can do with Stripe. But like, it was fascinating the amount of technical people then started using Payhere, and like, it still saves me time. And I was like, right, okay. And then still again today with a lot of like no code platform builders, from specifically the Glide community as well, that are able to use our system to make what they're doing faster and better, and kind of maybe you want to talk a little bit about that. Like, I mean, like, obviously we've got Robert, one of the top Glide builders, platform builders in the world that uses us, and has brought a lot of projects our way. And like, I mean, what is he getting out of it that if he was using Stripe, either it would be a little bit harder or time consuming?
Yeah, so even like the very early days of this, like I was also taking into account myself when I was coming to building things. Like, we're building apps for tons of people. They need subscriptions, they need whatever. And so not only was it like a pure no code tool, there was also the embed code. You could take 2 lines of JavaScript, put them into your website, and when you click a button, have our wee payment form just pop up in a nice wee modal. And the biggest thing from that and what that was providing for developers was just speed of integration. It was dropping 2 lines of code into your site and you're done. And if you wanted to go a little deeper with that, there was basic webhooks that you could implement as well. But like doing Stripe webhooks and all that, it's just a level above. It's a level more complicated. We like streamlined everything coming from Stripe and simplified it down and just made it easier to digest, easier to implement. And so even for technical people, this is a way quicker implementation than doing Stripe. Stripe's come on over the years as well with their checkout product. Like, that is similar-ish to what Payhere can do. Is still, in my opinion, a little bit more complicated and requires a little bit more technical knowledge. Like, one of the things that I'm constantly making changes to on Payhere is our developer documentation, because we have like URL params you can pass into the links to set preset data, names, email addresses, amounts, coupon codes, something we added this week. And that's something people are always asking us for. And the more I improved that developer documentation over the years, the less customer support we got, because there's still people to a certain level wanting deeper integrations with it.
Fast forward a little bit, then obviously through COVID, and then we got my favorite office in a place called Brisbane outside Ballymena, away from all the cities, away. Like, I mean, that was my favorite kind of period, because like there was a few things happened, obviously, in terms of revenue, and then even bringing Joel
Yeah.
White in as like an employee as such. Like, he was like, tell me a bit about that. Like, what do you remember from that period?
So yeah, initially we had all the lockdowns, like the UK. For those not in the UK, the UK was crazy about lockdowns. They were telling us things like, we're going to lock down for 3 weeks. And then it ended up being something insane. It was like 7 months or something absolutely crazy. And so during that period of time, we wanted to be working closer together and stuff. And for our own sanity, we
Get
needed
out of
out
the
of the
house.
house. So we got our wee office in Brisbane. Excellent place. We still had, I think, office space we could have used in Belfast, but we didn't want to be in there because there was just too much noise, too many distractions, and keeping us away from growing this product and serving our customers. And so we got an office out in the middle of the country, away from everything. Great wee place, very friendly people, and all. I like absolutely loved that office. But it was for our sanity. We were able to get out of the house each day and go into this office and just focus on the work, and it was brilliant. Absolutely loved that. And it was around then that we were really starting to get going with the revenue on Payhere as well and getting that up. I remember celebrating in a short space of time, celebrating 5k MRR, 10k MRR and beyond. And like that was when we were really things were taking off, and we were like, this is it. This is the dream, essentially.
Yeah, that was my fondest period of time. If I could go back there, I probably would. And
Yeah.
just keep heads down on it. Because like we had that office and that was good, and then there were some more kind of lockdowns after that. It kind of came back a little bit again. Joel joined us at that stage. We kind of went out and started testing with schools. Joel was working away on it, doing content, talking to people, doing a fantastic job. Hands up, he didn't get good training like I would probably have in place now. He's kind of like thrown in at the deep end, but
Yeah.
he was brilliant in terms of doing what he needed to do. I think it was kind of around then that we got the first email. Would that be right? What was in that email? Y'all know you'll be able to answer this.
So yeah, it was around then we got our first email from a few guys who were basically offering, we love what you're doing with Payhere. We've been watching your journey and we'd love to talk to you about an acquisition. And like when you get an email like that, I don't know, maybe you're somewhat skeptical. You're thinking, is this legit? Like there's a whole bunch of people send you emails about acquisitions and whatever. And some of them, most of them are just people fishing or whatever. But these guys seem genuine and different. And yeah, I think like to cut short, whatever it was at the time, our growth was going, and we still felt early in the product. We still felt like we had lots to offer the product, and we just said no. We said, come back to us in April or something like that, and we left it at that. And then I think April knocks around, and bang, another email. Hey guys, would you still be interested in talking about an acquisition or whatever? And I think by that stage we'd spent another maybe 3, 4, 5 months on the product. I think we were just both open to hearing what the
Yeah.
possibility could be.
Yeah, because I think we decided that stage they were in the Stripe ecosystem as well, using similar technologies. It all seemed to align, and we just we took a look at the figures and thought, right, okay, this is okay, and decided to, I suppose, go for it in terms of that. One question I'm going to ask you now, like today, would you have said yes? Going back, would you change your mind?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And I think
That is,
the thing is, you can never predict what's going to happen. And maybe the mindset that I had and you had back then before we accepted their offer, or even before we decided to entertain their offer, was that we had other ideas. We were working on 9, which we'll get into as well. But we didn't have a full confidence in Payhere, in the sense that we thought it might not have a big enough moat, and it could be cut out at the legs if Stripe ever decided to do something or change some of our channels that were bringing us traffic and bringing us users and all that sort of stuff. And I think we kind of thought there was maybe some fragility to the product there because of that, and that it was a risk, and we didn't have a strong enough moat to know that it would survive and keep going. And that was one of the things that I think made us entertain that offer more and made us seriously think about it. And we ended up going through with the offer and the process and the due diligence and all that stuff that comes with someone buying you. Like, it was a cool kind of process to go through. It was, for me, a little nerve-wracking after you decide you want to sell something, then it starts due diligence and all this other stuff, and you're like, oh, hurry up, I want to sell now. You know what I mean? How
You're
did
like
you
a
find
politician, Mr. Hawkins. You haven't answered my question.
it? Sorry, what was your question?
Would you have sold it knowing today what you know now?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I did not. No, because I think through all of that, and one of the crazy things that happened days or maybe a week after we sold to these guys, Stripe launched payment links. And I remember exactly where I was at the time because you and me were out celebrating our sale of our business. We were having a drink and we saw Stripe launch payment links. And we were just like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy I sold our
Yeah,
payment link product days ago. Like, we're like, these guys are going to be screwed. They've just bought something and Stripe's going to wipe them out. And in reality, it didn't even change. Like,
mm,
maybe the payment links hurt the business a little bit and revenue dipped a little bit, but there's potential other reasons why that dipped and went down as well. But essentially, Payhere survived no problem. And knowing that and seeing what Payhere's gone through and what it's survived now would make me change my mind going back to the offer to sell it, because we were in a great place. We were growing the product. We kept revenue going up and we could have kept doing that. And if we had have stayed on that and kept that momentum, I think we
yep,
could have taken it to an even bigger place, sold it for even larger amounts of money, or just kept it going.
yeah. Like I think the product today, as it stands, would be very different. It probably would have taken a few different routes, maybe helping more in the accounting side of people and reconciliation. Now, there's so many places, it could have went and will perhaps go. I think I'm totally on the same. Like it was a good bit of money for both of us, but it wasn't like totally. It wasn't like that's us retired for the rest of our lives or
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
like that. And like everybody I've spoke to have told them that. But I mean, it was still sizable. I was like, cool. But if we'd have worked at it for 3 years, well, for the 5 years since, the momentum probably would have been of greater value than growing that revenue. I definitely would have liked to have been us, well surpassing, 100K ARR after probably another year or two of working away at it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm totally in the same, but as you say, hindsight. But if we had that guy, do remember the payment links coming in? We were at the Rabbit down in Temple Patrick, and I felt sick because I was like, oh, if we'd have got that, a week earlier. But as you
Yeah.
say, it didn't knock on really affect. So like, we will we'll talk another time about what happened, kind of after that, between us in terms of what else we started building and doing.
Mhm.
But to keep on the Payhere side of things, like several months ago, we got the product back. So do you want to talk a little bit, just high level, about that happening and kind of what we're doing today and where we're hoping to go with it?
Yeah, totally. So I don't, obviously with deals like this or whatever, there's usually non-disclosure agreements, and to keep things legit or whatever, like, it's a shame. We'd love to share everything, but we can't. But we got into a position with the buyers who, I think it was their intention to bring on Payhere, make some changes to things like pricing or whatever, and just have it skyrocket. And it didn't. And we were then able in a position to chat with those guys on an ongoing basis. And the conversation eventually came up that they'd be willing to sell it back to us on extremely founder friendly terms. We'll not get into exact details or whatever, but it was extremely founder friendly terms. And we were able to reacquire Payhere. And several months ago, we were able to take that back. And we've got full control of the product now, and we've been back in working on it, answering customer support, and slowly ramping things back up. It's very much in the mood of our IdeaPilot. It's very much passive income. We spend a small amount of time on customer support. We could spend more. We could put more effort and more development and all of that into the product. We're not. We have other things that we're working on, and we're keeping Payhere going in the background. We're not by any means slacking on it. We're not ignoring it. We're answering every customer support. We're dealing with everything that needs done. If there's Rails upgrades, if there's anything, we're doing all of that, but it's very minimal in terms of time commitment. And tried a few things to grow, and one of which we'll get into in a little bit, but very much passive income. Like even customer support, it's probably less than an hour a week. Like it's very minimal. The odd customer asks for a feature and I'll spend an hour integrating that feature and shipping it for them, and everyone seems delighted and happy with all that stuff still. So yeah, how have you been finding it?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It was great to get back into it again, because it was the baby as such. You know what I mean? It was the one that started it all. It's hard to not hard. It's does it keep me up at night? Well, I like wakes me up sometimes. I'm like, where could it go now? Or is it that's what the product is and that's where it'll stay? You know, because or like again, it's back in 2019, I remember people talking to us about payments being a race to the bottom. And in some respects, it can be. But my gosh, when AI has come along and talk about a race to the bottom,
Yeah,
payments was never that a fast race to the bottom where total, like, oh, come on and, I do hundreds of prompts and give me $7 a month.
yeah,
Like, if you'd known now, if you known then what you know now about being a race to the bottom, payments has never really turned out. Obviously there's the credit card fees, but I think if for what we have seen from users, it's the add-on experience around it that really is where the value is for people. The transaction, yes, and there's people that will just shop you for the transaction, but what we have seen is like it's some of the features that we have where you can create payment plans for people. Like, well, here's an invoice at $1,000, but you can spread it over. Here's 5 automatic payments, and then it'll stop automatically itself and send them that link. There's those sorts of features that are valuable to people, and they're willing to pay the percentage pay as you go fee to us. But yeah, my goodness, it wasn't the race to the bottom that we're seeing now.
no, definitely not. Yeah, I think the extra payment link features, and as well just the nicer, smoother branding, because Payhere gets very much out of the way and lets you upload your own logo and colors and everything, and the way it embeds on your website feels more like your own site than some of the Stripe products like Stripe payment links or Stripe checkout does.
Because it was interesting, we did have that was it 2 calls we had with Sequoia. Obviously, we're making revenue at that time, and like it was just we could have had further calls, but we didn't. Like, and we're just saying that for the crack. You can ask the lady there. But I like the way that she framed it, is like that we were lowering the barrier for entry for anybody to get online payments. Like, and obviously they are a Stripe backer still to this day, but they could see how that we could still have a big enough garden to play in. As such, which was interesting. But I like the way that was framed, and it'll be interesting. Like, I think would be good to sit down and spend more time mapping out where Payhere goes. But again, I don't know if it's like Payhere's where it is and there's another payments play that would be different from it, and you would use bits of the learning to create this new, rather than do more stuff within Payhere. I don't know. It's for another day.
Yeah, well, I think we had just to touch on one of the things we had was Pledgeify, which because we have a bunch of people on Payhere using it for charities, and we've seen and worked with charities closely in Belfast area who we know the struggle with their donations, and there's tools specific for charities out there, but the user experience is horrible. It's forms that
Yeah.
fill the page asking thing after thing. Like we've simplified everything, even including gift aid, down to like a single checkbox and a small few amount of fields. And we wanted to work more with the charities. So we came up with essentially like niching Payhere down into just charities, called it Pledgeify, went through all the hoops we had to jump through with Stripe and Stripe Connect. And then we went to put it into the Stripe marketplace and they rejected us. And to me, I still don't know why, because they basically said, like, we're going against their terms of use. They're not for charities, they're not for donations. And yet, on their own website, they're promoting using Stripe for collecting charity donations. It makes
Yeah.
zero sense to me whatsoever why they rejected us. But like we then at that stage, after what we'd invested the time into making that, we couldn't put more time into that if eventually Stripe's just going to pull the rug out from under you and take it all away. We just had to pause on that niche and do away with that.
Yeah, it was bizarre, and like we were talking to several people in Stripe through their emails, but there was different people coming back to us and saying different things. It kind of, which means Stripe is it's a big company now. It's like it was a little bit disappointing that was the kind of, it was just like no. It wasn't like jump on a call and walk me through what you're trying to do, and we can say, well, we like this, but you can't do that. It's just like no, which I thought's a little bit shit.
Bizarre. Yeah.
Like it's just like no, like not let's jump on a call, but you know, when you get a big company, you can just kind of pick and choose, I suppose. Why Arians are fantastic alternative,
Yeah.
but all big companies have their own sort of issues and struggles, I suppose I would say. It'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be good to see where payments go. But again, like, yeah, payments wasn't the race to the bottom that we always were kind of told that it would be, from seeing what's happening now in the AI side. And it'd be good to dig into some of the other products that we tried kind of after selling Payhere and what came after that, and has got us back to this. But I think we'll do that on a different day.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool. No worries, man. See you later.